What is up? It is your boy, Omega SMG, coming back at you with a new video. It's been a little bit. It really has. So this time, I'm making a more drill type beat. I don't know, like UK drill. That's what I'll call this video, I guess. Because pretty much I was inspired by the obviously I know this isn't drill, but Grime MC JME Absolute Fire album. I have a video coming on that pretty soon. Very heavily recommend that album if you can get a hold of it. Anyway, so like that UK sound, I was just like really inspired by that, so I went ahead and made something. I was going for a more grime sound at first, and then like it ended up going more drill, so I just like let that be what drove it. So anyways, let's go into what we got going on here. So I started off the beat with this bell pad sound. So it's a one shot I got from a kit. I don't remember what kit it was. It was like a grime kit or something though, because this was, obviously this was supposed to be a grime song at first, and then it got changed up, so got that. Yeah. So then after I got that, let's go and go over the notation real quick. This is really not a big deal. So it's 2 C's and then it goes down to an F. I don't know, it just kind of has like a pleasing sound to it. If you've it just works really well. It has kind of a suspenseful feeling. It's just like a really good sound. Really good interval. And like you can transpose it to like anything, and it's great. I felt like C worked the best though. So then I had this intro here, so I just hit it with the gross beat and let the gross beat do its thing for the start. So this is how that sounds in the start. It's something really simple. At this point, the beat really could have gone anywhere. So, I just went ahead and added some things to it. I was just working on, like melody stuff at this point. So after I did that, I went ahead and added this ambient bell. This doesn't come until later in the track, but I'm like more going through my personal thought process, not the song structure at this point. So then I added like this ambient bell, and it just worked really well. So I'll go over some quick mixing on that. So pretty much all my melodic elements, I have this bell pad, the bell, and then like a Vox chant I had. Pretty much just to make sure it all worked perfectly, I just like EQ'd the inverse of each other into it, really, if that makes sense. This was like, I cut out all the frequencies that were in the other sounds and just like added to where vocals usually need to get added to. And then like with the bell pad and bell, I just took the spots where they were having the best frequencies, turned those up, and then like turned down the other half. Okay, so now after that I add this little Vox chant. I'm not 100% sure if I like the Vox chant, but it's there, so I'm gonna go over it. you know. Then after that, I added a little string section. Go ahead. Like, this is just how I did everything. I just slowly added on to everything. So I'm just like showing you that. These actually never overlap in the song though. So this is the string. So the strings are pretty quiet and pretty subtle. It would be very easy not to hear them. That's kind of the point, because it's like, this beat is pretty much made of all one shots. So if I have something like that that sounds obviously off and it's really loud, then that's just not very good. So I just have it really quiet. I have like the first hit of every note with a pretty high velocity, but that's it. So then I added a brass and string stack, just to hit every 8 bars or so. And I'm not quite happy with how it turned out, but eventually, this is a lesson you learn. You just have to decide, you know what? That's good enough, and just call it quits. And that's what I did. So this is what it sounds like with the brass hit. The brass hit sounds really weird without any bass under it. Just because both of my bass sounds, this 808 and the square bass sound I have, they're really big, so I couldn't really have anything colliding with it. So the way I have that mixed, I have our main brass hit, I have reverb directly on the track. This is just because, like, with some of the bigger sounds, like effects, if you use the, like, ascend, then it's just like, it's not really gonna work. I don't know why that's at 23%. Oh wait, no, I do. I just realized that out of nowhere. Anyway, so the reason that you're gonna want to, yeah, with the bigger sounds, you put the reverb directly on the track instead of a send track. So it's like, what the difference between a send track and an insert track is, when you're sending it elsewhere, it's not taking away from like the original sound, it's just adding on to it. However, for my purposes, I needed it to kind of take away and add like a release onto it. Now, obviously, if I did a regular send track, it would still add the release onto it, but it wouldn't really work. I can like do a quick demonstration. So you heard that. I'm going to take the reverb off this, and I'll send this to like 50%. I want it to be a pretty big sound, so it's just not as thick. And then when I put it up to 125%, just make it ridiculous. Kind of has it, not really, not in a meaningful way. So it's just, okay. So then after that, I started making the drum pattern. So I started off with these hi-hats. So these hi-hats, pretty much if you've heard a drill song, this is like the standard hi-hat pattern. It's a, oh wow, that's really laggy. That's bothering me. I can't tap it because of how laggy it is. Oh well. It's the, it's like triplet. You know, if you've heard Man's Not Hot, you've heard it. Except they have it on the snare. But like, almost every drill song has like something with that rhythm in it. You know, whether it's sometimes it's just a snare straight up. Other times it's like the hi-hat, the kick. It can be like anything. It can be whatever you decide to make it, but most songs are going to have that rhythm to it. That's how like every trap song has the hi-hat. Most drill songs have the well, and it just sounds good. So this is the hi-hat pattern in its entirety. Then after this, I added the snare. This is a really simple snare. It's just, I add this on the 3 and the 7. So, Then I added this kick. Well, actually, if we're gonna go ahead and talk about like my thought process, I actually had this square bass made first. I'll go ahead and play that for you guys. So it's just this fat bass sound, just huge. It's just a square wave with a little bit of EQ on it to add more bass, take out a little bit of the highs, but it's this. And the only reason I'm not playing like the second pattern is because like I didn't come up with that until later, and I'm still like kind of iffy on it. So then we made ourselves this kick pattern. So this is what the kick sounds like. It's a pretty simple kick. There's nothing that special about it. It's the 2 + 2 is 4 - 1. That's for a quick maths. Everyday men on the block. You know, it works. Anyways, so then the last sound I added was an 808, and when it comes to this kind of thing, you need like an obese 808. Like your 808 needs to get 2 plane tickets because it's just that fat, you know. So this is what I did personally. So I found an 808 that was already pretty nasty sounding, you know. This is what it sounds like dry. Has the right vibe for this, cause right, I like to have a lot of like grimier things. That sounds pretty close to a square wave with how distorted it is. And then I decided to take it a bit further. So I added a EQ, linear phase, just take out those first 20 hertz. This completely changes the 808 tone. You don't expect it to, but it really does. Especially the fact that it's linear phase, the linear phase, the natural phase, and zero latency. They all sound completely different. If you haven't tried that out yet, you definitely should. It's something really cool, and you get a lot more range out of it. So then after that, I went into FabFilter Saturn, and we made ourselves. We used the fact that there's modulation in this. So first of all, what I did was I took the bass sound and I dropped the drive all the way. That's going to be modulated by this LFO just a little bit. It's not really gonna be like ground shaking or anything, but it's gonna like every once in a while you'll get a little bit more heat out of the 808 and a little bit less sub. And then I turned the sub up by 6 decibels, took this and I threw an envelope on it so that like at the start it's more punchy, or it gets nastier with every punch. And then I turned that up a little bit and maxed out the dynamics, Then this is what I do with like every 808 I want super distorted. I get a limiter and I just crank it. It's kind of lazy, but it works, so I do it. So then the 808 sounds like this at this point. And then I made a video on this trick a while ago, but I like to add some stereo separation in my 808s when I feel it's appropriate, and I feel like it was appropriate on this one, so I tried to make this 808 wide. It didn't do much because the thing about TR5 quad image is it's a lot more subtle than isotope. Honestly, isotope would probably be better for this application if I'm being honest, but oh well. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much the beat. Then I structured it, you know, had that intro, had this unique kick pattern that's only heard once in the track, so just one, two, three, four. Then just goes into the beat, and the beat sounds like this. Then at the end of the 808, after the ambient bell comes in, I have the 808 completely change up for the end of it. So that sounds like this. Then the other square bass sound comes in. Then just goes back to the 808 and leaves room for another verse. You know, it works, you know. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the full beat to play. I'm gonna have to export it. I'll throw this through Sony Vegas, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have that much more to add. Like this video, smash like. If you don't like it, I don't really care what you do. There's a dislike button for a reason. Leave whatever comments you want. Have a nice day.